In 1995, a man sits down at a blackjack table inside the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. He bets $250,000 a hand. The pit boss calls the floor director. Nobody on shift has ever seen anything like it. By morning, he had won $26 million. He tips the dealers $1 million. Then the casino asks the biggest winner in its history never to come back. He did not cheat. He did not count cards. He broke no laws. So why did they ban him for life? Kerry Packer was not just another gambler chasing a quick fortune. He was born into power on December 17, 1937, in Sydney, Australia. By the time he died on December 26, 2005, his net worth had swelled to around 6.5 billion Australian dollars. That kind of money rewrites the rules of risk. Packer inherited the Nine network and the publishing giant Consolidated Press Holdings after his father, Sir Frank Packer, died in 1974. The empire he took over controlled what Australians watched, read, and talked about. But for Packer, all that wealth wasn't just about business. It was fuel. With that much capital, the normal boundaries of fear and caution start to blur. $1 million at risk on a single hand? For most people, that's unthinkable. For Packer, it was a rounding error. His daily decisions moved markets and toppled governments. Losing $1 million at the tables didn't register as pain. Winning $26 million in a single night was just a new kind of thrill. He grew up in the shadow of his father's ambition, but Packer's style was all his own. He was blunt, unpredictable, and impossible to intimidate. He once faced down a hostile boardroom with the same cold stare he brought to the casino floor. Fortune magazine called him the most feared man in Australian business. His appetite for risk didn't come from recklessness. It came from knowing he could afford to lose, and from the rush of knowing the house couldn't. This is the man who could walk into a casino and make the pit bosses sweat. When most gamblers hope for a lucky streak, Packer's bankroll meant he could turn the tables on the house itself. He wasn't playing to survive. He was playing to see if the system would break. But what happens when a player's fortune is so vast that the casino's edge, its mathematical safety net, starts to look thin? How does a business built on the promise that the house always wins handle a guest who can outlast any streak, any swing, any run of cards? Behind the velvet ropes in the high-limit rooms, those questions keep casino executives awake at night. And Packer? He just kept betting. What does risk mean to a man who can buy the whole table? And how far would a casino go to protect itself from a player it can't control? The house edge is the casino's invisible armor. It's a fraction of a percent baked into every hand, every spin, every roll. That tiny advantage is supposed to guarantee the house always wins, eventually. But there is a hidden catch. The math only works if the gambler can run out of money before the casino does. Most players walk in with a fixed budget, lose enough, and the night is over. That is the gambler's ruin principle. It is the backbone of every casino's survival strategy. The odds are stacked so that, over time, the house edge wears down anyone who keeps playing. It is not about one hand or one night. It is about millions of hands, millions of players, all losing just enough to keep the lights blazing and the drinks flowing. But what if the player's bankroll isn't just big? It is bottomless. What if someone sits down with enough cash to ride out every losing streak the house can throw at them? Suddenly, the rules start to warp. The casino's safety net, its edge, gets thinner with every hand. The math turns cold. With an unlimited bankroll, the chance of a player going broke drops to 0. The only thing standing between the house and disaster is pure variance, the wild swings of luck that can make or break a fortune in a single session. Blackjack, played perfectly, gives the house around a 0.5% edge. That's 50 cents on every $100 wagered. For regular gamblers, it is death by 1,000 cuts. For someone like Kerry Packer, who could lay down $250,000 on a single hand and do it 6 times at once, the numbers get dangerous. The standard deviation on one of his hands could wipe out a year's profit in seconds. Over a long enough timeline, the house wins. But when the player's war chest dwarfs the casino's, the timeline does not matter. The casino is exposed, naked, against a statistical storm it cannot control. Casinos try to defend themselves with table limits, surveillance, and risk committees. But those tools are designed for ordinary whales, not for someone who can outspend the entire pit. When Packer walked into the MGM Grand, he did not just threaten the balance sheet. He threatened the myth that the house is always safe. The pit bosses could feel it. Every hand he played was a coin toss with the casino's future on the line. So what happens when the armor cracks? How far will a casino go to keep its edge from collapsing? And if the house edge can be broken by pure wealth, who is really in control, the player or the game? Kerry Packer's heart stopped beating on a Sydney polo field in 1990. One moment he was thundering across the grass. The next, he collapsed, motionless and unresponsive. Paramedics rushed in. No pulse. Clinically dead. For several minutes, the richest man in Australia was gone. The ambulance crew carried a portable defibrillator, rare at the time. They shocked him once. Nothing. Again. On the second jolt, his heart kicked back to life. He was hauled to St. Vincent's private hospital, still teetering on the edge. That night, Packer regained consciousness. He reportedly joked to friends that he had seen nothing at all, no light, no tunnel, nothing. The medical charts logged a full cardiac arrest, followed by emergency bypass surgery just weeks later. Most people shrink after a brush with death. Packer seemed to expand. Biographers and business rivals later whispered that the man who came back from the dead was changed. The fear of losing money, time, even life itself was stripped away. He started betting bigger, living harder, refusing to hedge or hesitate. Surgeons could patch his arteries, but they could not dull the taste for risk. Did survival make him reckless, or did it simply reveal the gambler he always was? If death itself could not hold him, what could a casino possibly threaten? Security swept the high-limit floor at MGM Grand, clearing out regulars and roping off the action. Kerry Packer didn't want an audience. He wanted control. Dealers rotated in, faces tense, as a team of pit bosses tracked every move. The casino set up 6 blackjack tables side by side, each reserved for one man. Packer played them all at once, spreading up to $250,000 on each hand. The stakes were not just high, they were suffocating. Every detail was managed. Fresh decks were shuffled under the eye of surveillance. Floor staff logged every hand, every chip, every signal from the man at the center of it all. Packer's style was mechanical. He barked for cards, made decisions in seconds, and demanded silence from the staff unless he spoke first. No banter, no jokes, just relentless betting. He played 6 hands at a time, stacking chips in towers that dwarfed the felt. Dealers later described the pressure as unreal. One mistake could cost more than they made in a year. The casino's internal systems strained under the volume. Runners hustled chips from the cage. Managers huddled, whispering about exposure limits and risk tolerances. Surveillance teams in the back room watched every hand, every gesture, searching for any sign of advantage play. But there was no edge to be found, just pure, brute force, gambling. Packer wasn't counting, wasn't cheating. He was simply outbetting the house's comfort zone. As the hours dragged on, the tension sharpened. The casino's armor, their edge, felt paper-thin. But what would happen if the streak did not break? How far could one man push the system before the whole floor snapped? Inside the MGM Grand, the counting room worked overtime. Every chip, every hand, every payout was double-checked by a team trained to spot fraud. The numbers did not lie. Kerry Packer's win, $26 million, was real. Surveillance footage rolled back the entire night, frame by frame. No hidden signals, no marked cards, no collusion. The play was clean. Still, the pit bosses were not satisfied. They called in the Internal Risk Committee, the group that only meets when the casino's financial skin is on the line. Reports from the floor landed in front of them before sunrise. Exposure limits had been shattered. The variance reserves, meant to absorb even the wildest swings, had been wiped out in a matter of hours. The committee pored over surveillance logs and payout records. The audit confirmed what everyone feared. The loss was legitimate, and the house edge had failed to protect them. There was no cheating to blame, no policy to enforce. Just a player with more money than the casino could handle. The decision was clinical. They issued a ban, not for misconduct, but for survival. Packer was quietly informed he would never be welcome at the MGM Grand again. No press release, no public explanation. The ban went into the internal database, flagged as a risk management measure. The casino's silence spoke volumes. If the world's richest gambler could walk in and crack the armor of the house, how many others might try? And if the next whale comes with even deeper pockets, will the casino's defenses hold, or will history repeat itself? London's Crockfords Club had seen royalty, oil magnates, and old money lose fortunes. But nothing prepared its directors for Kerry Packer. He arrived with the same cold confidence he brought to Vegas, a bankroll that made the club's velvet and gilt armor look paper-thin. The game was baccarat, and the stakes were higher than anything the house had ever allowed. By dawn, Packer had walked out with approximately £7 million, one of the biggest single-night wins in British gambling history. There was no counting, no edge play, no device. Just relentless, legal betting. Crockfords' management huddled in private, faces gray. Their risk controls had failed, just like MGM's. The loss was real, the audit clean. The club's directors made their decision. Packer would never play there again. No press release, no scandal. Just a quiet exclusion that echoed through the gambling world. 2 continents, 2 legendary wins, 2 lifetime bans. The pattern was unmistakable. When the house edge collapsed, the only defense left was the door. But if both London and Las Vegas could be cracked by one man, how many other casinos were quietly changing their rules? And how many more bans went unspoken, buried behind locked doors and silent ledgers? Casinos survive on a simple promise: the house edge always wins in the end. That edge is razor thin, but it is supposed to be ironclad. The secret is this: it only works when the player's bankroll is small enough to run out before the math can turn against the house. For most gamblers, that is a given. But Kerry Packer shattered that illusion. His fortune did not just buy him more chips, it bought him time. Enough time for luck to swing wild, enough capital to ride out every losing streak. The gambler's ruin principle, the backbone of casino safety, breaks down when a player cannot be ruined. Suddenly, the house edge is not a shield. It is a bet, and the casino is on the wrong side. Inside boardrooms and counting rooms, executives whispered about exposure limits and variance. Internal memos flagged the risk. If a whale's bankroll dwarfs the reserve, the edge vanishes. The only defense left is secrecy. No press releases, no public statements, just silent bans and confidential files. Reputation is everything. Admit the armor can crack and the entire system looks fragile. That is why bans like Packer's are delivered quietly, with no scandal, no accusation, just a closed door and a name erased from the guest list. How many more bans have vanished into the shadows, never making headlines? What does the industry risk if the public learns the edge can fail? The real danger is not the loss. It is the secret that the house is not always safe. Dealers at the MGM Grand still talk about the night a billionaire changed their lives with a single gesture. When the dust settled, a tip, rumored at $1 million, was split among the blackjack crew. Some called it a miracle, others a curse. No one could agree on the exact figure. The casino's books never showed it. The official accounting vanished behind closed doors, just like the man who left it behind. No press release, no public audit, only whispers in the break room and legends traded between shifts. The staff walked away flush, but the pit bosses walked away shaken. If one player could break the armor of the house, what stopped the next? The silence from MGM was louder than any jackpot bell. No statement, no confirmation, just an empty chair and a new rule in the risk manual: never let the bankroll outgun the reserve. But the story didn't end with Packer. Another name started circulating among casino managers, a Japanese businessman with a taste for high-stakes baccarat. Akio Kashiwagi. Bigger bets, deeper pockets. The question hung in the air: if lightning struck once, could it strike again? How many more secrets are buried behind velvet ropes? And what happens when the next whale comes to feed? If you want the inside story on the men who make casinos sweat, hit subscribe. The next chapter is just getting started. Casinos still promise the house always wins. But when one man, born December 17, 1937, who died at 68, with a net worth over $6 billion, legally takes $26 million in a single night, the system shutters its doors. Today, whales threaten the industry's illusion of control. The game changes when risk has no limit. In Vegas, fear isn't luck. It's a question: who really owns the ODDS? If you want more, hit subscribe.